Off Script with Super E recommends listener discretion, as these real but sometimes uncensored stories can be filled with mature content.
This is Off Script with Super E. I am your host, A-Train. May I present the star of our show, Super E.
How you doing, A-Train?
I am doing great. And how are you?
Not too bad. Today I was wanting to talk about, you remember the drug house and prostitution house that was right next to the boys club?
Yes. Down the south side, yes.
Yep, and before we investigated it, all them individual branches of investigations like district narcotics, grand jury, neighborhood resource team that does this kind of thing. Unfortunately, none of them had any luck, and then their commander just put out an email, begging for help because, crime in that area was just skyrocketing.
Yes.
So me and you joined forces on it.
That's right. I remember that. That sounds great. Let's talk about it. If you took some property to him, he'd sell you drugs for the property, right?
Right, exactly.
And so, the users in the neighborhood there, they were just, I got to get something so I can go buy my dope from this guy. So they were breaking in cars, they were breaking in houses. It was like a crime wave within that neighborhood.
Yeah, the people are up in arms, and of course, so when this is happening, the person that has to deal with it was the commander of that district for the police department.
Yeah,
and they were getting an earful of it. I guess they had the narcotics unit for that district. They tried to send an informant up there to buy drugs, but what they did not know is what we stumbled onto. What they did not know was that these people were fencing this stuff, and I think they would take items in trade instead of, just going up, hey, I'll give you $20 for some dope.
Exactly. And I'm going to just explain a little bit to the audience. Fencing. So a fence is somebody, and it's usually a, localized thing. So there's somebody in the neighborhood that if you got stolen stuff, you can take it to them and they'll buy it or they'll give you drugs for it. And then the fence has they have their outlets to then resell or distribute that stolen property, right? That's what a fence is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I guess at the time, this commander had, his narcotics guys try to get something going on there, and they couldn't get anybody in there because they just didn't. The informants they were sending up they weren't known by the target, and they weren't saying the right things.
Yeah,
and I go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and there were just mega complaints coming in. The neighbors were like, "Hey, something's got to be done about this house."
This commander sent out an email just begging for help.
Right.
And at the time, I had an informant helping me. Now, she called herself not an informant, but a handy helper.
Okay.
Her name was MJ. Go back to this dude's house, hoping to talk to Big Jim.
Right.
And so, sure enough, we pull into the driveway, the long driveway, and there's this great big dude out there, and he was like, it was a hot day, and he was real greasy and shirtless.
Right. I remember he was a real looker.
Yes. And, so by this time me and you had combined forces on this, like the Justice team or the Justice League. We combined forces.
Yeah.
And
super twins.
Yeah. So me, you, and Jay went out, and you guys were going to run the case.
Yep. And I are across the street. We're videoing everything, and you and MJ go up there for the first initial deal, right?
Yes, if that's what I remember. And I remember us pulling up to this guy, and he's a big guy. I would say he was at least 6'6", probably weighed 270 pounds.
At least, yeah.
And so every description of what Burt Reynolds had to deal with in Deliverance fit this dude right here.
Yeah.
This what I felt like. I was looking for the kid on the porch with the banjo when we approached this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got no shirt on.
Yes.
And his gut stuck out about 5 feet, so he had to ask people if he was wearing shoes or not because he couldn't look down and see.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a sight.
He was sweating.
Yeah.
And so we get out of the car, me and MJ, and he immediately is drawn to MJ. Immediate.
Right.
I could tell he was enamored with her. And I just started talking about the car for sale. And then I don't know how we got talking about it, but then he started telling me, he goes, oh man, she's a good looking girl. He asked, do you put her out? I go, what do you mean? Do you put her out like on the street?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, no, man. She's she's my girlfriend. He goes, oh. He goes, well, I got about 7 good-looking girls too, but I put them out. Mm-hmm. So now he's telling me he prostitutes. Promotes prostitution.
Yeah, he's a pimp.
Yeah, he's a pimp.
Yeah.
And then the conversation. See, you don't immediately come out and go, hey, can I buy drugs? Can I buy drugs?
Right.
That puts them on the defensive. They're on high alert. You don't do that. You take your time.
Yep.
With these kind of things. So then we're just talking about the car that he's got for sale. But then he decides he wants to show me the car he's working on. He's restoring a car.
Okay.
And sure enough, he goes up there. He takes me into his garage and shows me a 69 Oldsmobile that he's in the process of restoring. And this is where experience is extremely helpful in this kind of things, knowing what to say, not to rush it, whatever. But also luck is involved because he's got the 69 Olds Cutlass he's restoring, and he cannot find chrome side trim for it.
Okay.
And he's just beside himself. I cannot find it anywhere. And, I would pay good money if I could just find this. And just a few days earlier, a friend of mine was restoring his dad's 69 Olds Cutlass, and he had taken off all the trim and bought all brand new trim for his dad's car because he repainted it.
Right.
His name's Jerry, and he restores cars. And so I thought to myself, I can get this trim for you. I told this guy, I can get you this trim. He goes, man, I will pay whatever it takes to get this trim. I said, I can get it for you tomorrow. And so me and we paid Jerry some cash for that trim for what that dude needed.
Right.
And so the next day, we went back with that trim. This time it's just me without MJ, because again, you try to make it to where I'm the only one who's going to be on the stand testifying in court.
And if I remember on this deal, you didn't have a shirt on this time.
Oh no, yes. So I'm going in there without a shirt.
Yeah.
I think I'm wearing the cutoff shorts, and but on this one, I was using a very secretive video recording device.
Yes.
And so I go up there and I hand the guy. I show the guy the trim pieces, and they fit perfectly. Right. And the whole time I'm videoing him, I'm getting his gigantic sweating gut where the sweat is dripping off it. Because again, when you're like 200 pounds overweight, what you want to do is go shirtless all the time. It looked like he should have been wandering around on the set of Hee Haw. The way he was.
Yeah, he was Junior Samples or whatever.
He was. If Junior Samples was the basketball center, he was. That's what he was like.
Now, I do remember watching this, so you got Big Jim and you got you there shirtless, I would tell you looked like an Adonis next to this dude.
He would have been perfect. He would have been perfect for contrast for me.
That's right. It was contrast. It made you look a whole lot better than you do look.
It made me look a whole lot better before and after kind of thing. Yeah, I was kind of playing that up.
Yeah.
So he starts talking about, he goes, man, I really need this chrome trim that you got. What do you want for it? And then I knew I didn't want to bring up money. I said, what do you got? I just threw that out there, and that opened up for it. He goes, when I said, what do you got? He goes, well, that's perfect that you said that. He goes, I don't like to pay money. I like to trade. Mm-hmm. I said, that's cool with me. What do you got to trade? He goes, I got some good speed here. And I said, what do you mean? He pulls out a prescription bottle, and it's that Adderall.
Right.
He was buying illegal Adderall,
Right.
and he was selling it or trading it to people. And I go, well, what's this Adderall stuff? I act like I didn't know what it was. He goes, man, this is the best speed out there. You just put it on your tongue, and it'll fry your brain. And I was like, with an endorsement like that, wrap it up.
Absolutely.
I'll
take two.
And the whole time, I'm making sure that I'm getting this on video because the whole time when you're doing undercover, you're thinking, okay, if this goes in front of a jury, what does the jury want to see? Because now the jury, they're used to everything being, you should be able to see it on video.
Yes. Yeah,
TV.
they want the video. They want the video now.
They want it because they want to see it like they're watching TV.
Yeah.
So they want to be able to see and hear all the elements of what your probable cause consists of.
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking about the whole time. What does a jury need to see to prove me and A-Train's case against this guy?
Yeah.
So I'm getting it on, I'm getting it where he's describing it. Hey, you know what? This is Adderall. I get it illegally.
Right.
It'll fry your brain. It's speed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right on. And I get him saying all that, and then I also get him dumping it out of the bottle.
Yes.
Into a bag, and he's handing it to me.
I remember the video on that was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, so after we made that buy, we got that in the books. I think that's when we had the big meeting with all the other units and all this about how, okay, this is where we got going.
Yeah.
And so we had that. Do you remember that meeting?
I do. Yeah. That's where we knew we could get in and we could get this done. And we lined everything out.
And we were trying not to be too snarky since we're the only guys that were able to get anything done on it.
Once again, we're the only ones that can get anything done.
And then even the computer dork squad, remember those guys?
Yes.
They were also involved in this before we got on it. They had set up cameras all over the place trying to watch people go in and out.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so they had all this. So the computer dorks kind of got me because they were filming it, and I was walking when I was waiting on the guy. I was walking around his property, and it was full of trees and stuff. And of course, I'm shirtless. And they snapped a picture of me in some bushes, and they sent me an email picture of it. They said, "Oh, look, we caught him in his own natural habitat." I was like.
That's
because I look like an East African albino mountain gorilla wandering around the property.
Yeah, it kind of had that Sasquatch video feel to it, Yeah,
exactly. Where I was walking away.
Yeah,
blurry camera shot.
Yeah, long arms swinging as you're walking.
I remember. Then you've got to show a pattern. So we said, "Hey, we got to make a second buy off this dude."
Yeah.
So we went back up, and again, I was by myself, and I remember having to knock on the door, and I was like, "Is this dude going to answer?" Now there was a trailer that was next to the house that was full of his flunkies.
Yes,
that the lookouts that we had to keep an eye on. So I remember knocking on the door to his house. I was like, "Man, I'm getting ready to give up," but no, he said, "Let's keep trying." So I knocked, and finally, this chick opens the door, and she was very nice, but she looked like she had lived a hard life.
A little rough.
The skank meter was kind of passing up 3, 4, maybe hitting 5 on the skank meter. And I said, "Hey, I'm Ray. I'm here to see Big Jim. My name's Ray." She goes, "I know who you are. He thinks you're a god." Oh. The reason, because he liked me because I got that chrome trim for him,
right?
And he loved MJ,
right?
And he thought I was a super cool dude. She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Come on in. He's in his special room." I go, "Special room?" She goes, "Wait till you see it." I knew you and Jay were out there watching me.
Yeah.
And so I felt comfortable going in the house, and I had my recording device, a video recording device on me. And, but again, I'm shirtless. So I go in, and she directs me to this small room, and it was real dark. And I go in, and it's got all these TV screens, all these monitors.
Yeah.
This big Jim goes, "Come on in, Ray." Ray was my code name.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I want to show you this room. Look at all these. I've got all these cameras out here, and I've got all these monitors. This is how come I've been able to avoid being arrested by the police. I can see them if they're coming in."
Yeah, he had cameras all around the compound, so he could see people coming, and he knew what was going on before anything. Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, he can see everything. I hope he doesn't see A-Train and Jay.
No, no, he'd never see us. We were so well hidden.
And so anyways, he goes, "Where's MJ at?" I said, "Oh, she's busy. I had to make something up." And I said, "Oh, she's busy doing something." He goes, I really appreciate you giving me them car parts. I want to show you my appreciation." He hollers out some girl's name. Let's say her name was Tangeray. He goes, "Tangeray, come on in here." He goes, "This is my friend Ray." She goes, "Hi, how you doing, Ray?" I said, "Doing good, Tangeray." Yeah. And he goes, "Tangeray, give my boy Ray some head." And she starts kneeling down, and I'm like, holy shit, because I've got the video camera there.
Right.
I said, okay, this won't look good in front of the jury. If all of a sudden during the investigation I start receiving fellatio, maybe some of the female members of the jury would go, "You piece of shit." The males would be like, "You are awesome."
Because as I recall, Tangeray looked a lot better than the girl that answered the door.
Tangeray was unbelievably attractive.
Yeah.
And so now this is, again, this is where undercover officers, you're thinking the whole time, okay, you're worried about danger aspects. Does this guy got a gun? Is anybody going to recognize me?
Right.
Where, hey, these monitors, where are they? I'm doing 5,000 things at once in my head while I'm trying to discuss dope with this guy. Yeah. And now he's got some pretty girl in there to perform a fellatio on me. And now I've got to think of a reason to say no. Yeah. I mean, that just doesn't look right. And so I had to come up. I said, "Oh, man, Big Jim, I appreciate it. But MJ, she knows whenever I'm even contemplating cheating on her, she knows. She could just smell it out. And just, man, she will, won't let me hear the end of it and probably kick me out." Right. And so Big Jim was like, "I understand, Ray. Tangeray, you can go back to taking a nap. It's like 3 in the afternoon, everybody's asleep or drunk."
Yes.
Or high.
Yes.
So I'm able to get the dope from him. And then I start talking to him about it now, because now I'm trying to get the promoting prostitution.
Right. So you've made 2 drug buys from this guy.
Yeah. Now we got the pattern. Now I want to try to get the prostitution, because we talked about how we was going to have this. We made a plan to where we was going to have Jay hook up with 2 of his girls he was coming into town, and he wanted an 8-ball.
Yes.
And so he goes, "Oh yeah, I can take care of that." He goes, "You have your friend Jay bring the money for the 8-ball. I'll give her the 8-ball, and I'll hook him up with 2 girls to screw his brains out."
Okay, right.
And so I'm thinking, okay, now we got that. Well, now we got him for promoting prostitution.
Right.
And we got 2 buys of dope from him.
Yep.
And then after that is when we had to come up with a plan for a search warrant, because now we got to get into this house and get him, even though he's got monitors. And so you took over on that part.
Now, remind me on this. Didn't we sell him some purportedly stolen stuff? Or did we take an order from him? I can't remember.
I think we, if I remember correctly, I think we took an order from him, and I think we might have traded some cigarettes too. Yeah. With him.
Yes.
He thought he was fencing the cigarettes too.
Exactly, because we were trying to get that trifecta. We were trying to get the dope, the promoting prostitution, and then the receiving stolen property.
Right.
So yeah, if memory serves, I think we did. We traded some stuff for some stuff property that you said was hot or something. If memory serves, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself after I barely escaped out of there with receiving fellatio from this girl.
Yes,
I was like, okay, we've got what we need, and now we just have to plan a search warrant and be able to get in there without being detected by him and all his monitors. And that's where you guys took over, you and Jay.
Yes. So yeah. Memory serves. I ended up. We got. I wrote up. We got a search warrant. Am I forgetting another deal, or is this when we did the search warrant?
I think we might have. I think we might have did another deal where I gave. We bought an 8-ball of cocaine.
Yes.
And I said, "This is the money for Jay."
Yeah.
And he's going to call you, meet the girls at 8:00.
Yeah.
And all. So we had that all set up, and I think then you did the search warrant and was able to get into the house. And did you take him by surprise, or did he know you was coming?
No. Oh no. This I do recall the search warrant. So after I got the search warrant, we since this was a compound, he had all those flunkies in that trailer and had the monitors and all that. So I got the SWAT team to help us out on this one, just because it was such a big area and there were so many people, and we really didn't know what else was in that house, if I recall right. So on the search warrant, I remember, so the SWAT team, they showed up pretty heavy that day. They had 2 vehicles packed full of SWAT guys, and I remember when we went in, so it was SWAT vehicle 1, SWAT vehicle 2, and then it was me and Jay, coming in the rear. And I just remember as we rolled in that compound, all I could think about was Apocalypse Now and just the music, na 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 na. And I remember the SWAT guys, man, they did a good job, because there were dudes in that trailer, there were dudes in the house, there were a bunch of girls, and I mean, they went in and they hit it, and they took immediate control of that scene, and it was pretty good. It was a pretty good entry and search warrant to watch. So yeah, once we got in there, everybody was secured. We found dope, we found stolen property. I remember I think there were 4 or 5 girls in there that, were part of his harem or whatever it was.
Exactly.
And so it was a very successful search warrant. So yeah, it was great. And then, so when I presented the case then to the prosecutor, obviously, they charged him. I think they charged him with corrupt business influence, which is a state RICO charge, for all the criminal activity he was involved in, dealing and promoting prostitution. And as I recall on that, he ended up taking a plea on it, and I had never seen this before. Part of the plea was after his sentence was over, he wasn't allowed to live in the county anymore. I had never seen that in my life. He was told to get out of Dodge. Exactly. It was like a Western. It was like, listen, you get out of town and you don't come back. Yeah, I'd never seen that before in my life. But anyway, it all turned out great, didn't it?
And the thing is, it's like we took pride in that we were able to do something that everybody else was having trouble doing. And we was able to use our experience, trading the possible stolen goods, getting lucky with the car parts he exactly needed. But that's where sometimes luck is the most important thing when you're doing these kind of things. You just get lucky, because how many times, or what is the chances of a guy looking for chrome trim on a 69 Olds Cutlass, and then my buddy he just showed me that he had that stuff a week earlier, and I was able to use that. That was kind of basically, that was the crux of this whole investigation, where we was able to
Yeah.
build up the momentum to get the search warrant.
Well, I mean, it's partly luck, but it's also you. You know, you're going in and you're just being observant. He's got this car, you know the year, you know he's trying to refurbish it, and you knew your buddy had those parts, and so it's a little luck, but it's a little bit of just Super E being Super E, right?
Yeah, it's the experience of knowing, okay, they got a car for sale. It's safe to go in and start talking about the car because now I'm not showing up unannounced asking for drugs. That's where a lot of guys, that's the mistake they make. They automatically go up, hey, somebody told me I can get some speed here.
Yeah.
They immediately get shut down.
Absolutely. You gotta finesse them a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, and you know the thing is, it was very rewarding to know that we helped out that community because they were in distress over the amount of crime that had just immediately spiked because of the actions of this one house and this one guy who was giving girls drugs, prostituting them, fencing stolen goods, and the people were just stealing everything in the neighborhood surrounding him, and it was like my old captain said, it was affecting the quality of life of the residents.
Now I can tell you, I did some research after this case was done, and crime in that neighborhood dropped immediately. Yeah. I mean, the car break-ins, the burglaries, way down. So we did a good job on that one.
Yeah. You know what? It was easier to pat each other on the back after that.
Well, and let me ask you this. Did we ever get any kind of pat on the back from our supervisors? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
No,
I don't recall.
We didn't.
So we
heard absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But we knew we had done a good thing and
exactly
helped the neighborhood out. So
I will say this: the commander of that district, he was extremely grateful. Extremely grateful.
Okay, well then I retract what I just said. I didn't know that. So okay, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
But we don't do it for the accolades, do we, Super E?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't want that special gold star.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay, well, that was good. We did a good job on that one, if I must say so myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a good deal from start to finish. We got on that one. We got a trifecta. We got all three of them. Yeah.
Yep.
So
exactly.
All right. Well, that was a great story. Thanks for bringing that one up, refreshing my memory on that one. And you know what? We went a little long on that one because yeah. No, that's all right. I think people will listen to it. So we're going to close this one out, and we'll do another one here very shortly. Well, thanks, Super E. Appreciate it.
All right. Everybody take care.
Okay. We'll see y'all.
All right, bye.